Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Randazzo. I am joined by my two pretty punctual co-hosts. To my right, it is the one and only Uncle Sam.
Hello.
And to my left, it is none other than our very own Mr. Zolo, Mike Palazzolo.
How's it going?
Welcome. It's Victory Tuesday. I can't forget to mention our producer, Bruce the Goo Gun Venditti.
Hello.
Coated in goo.
Hello.
Look at him. Pink.
Hello.
Nice hat. He's got a nice hat on. Milwaukee goggles in full effect. Uncle Sam's rubbing off on him. Uncle Sam, you must have rubbed off on somebody else, too. Did you happen to see Nick Bosa after the game yesterday, donning your hat?
That's it.
Absolutely.
What everybody should be doing.
That exact hat? He was wearing that exact hat?
It was
No,
just
his
white.
was
It wasn't
white.
His was
camel.
white,
White
yeah.
with gold writing. And,
I saw him chime into the post-game interview.
yeah, and the NFL already came out and said that violated the league's
Oh,
league
gee, they're going to
policy.
fine him for it?
Yes, he will.
I think they should. You know what? Everybody pay for Nick Bosa's fine. Nick Bosa's fine. Everybody pay it.
You're gonna start. a
Everybody
GoFundMe?
send money in. What?
A GoFundMe for Nick Bosa.
Yeah. Start a GoFundMe for Nick Bosa.
Amen. Tipped fund me.
Fucking joke. Fucking joke. It's all right for them to put fucking BLM across their fucking field, but this guy can't wear something? Fuck you. Fuck you.
Okay. How's your weekend?
It's great. Fucking love it.
Didn't
Yours?
you voted
Yeah.
early this weekend?
Yes,
didn't
I
you?
did. I voted on Saturday.
Was there a line?
Yeah.
Was there a
There
line?
was a lot of people there. There's a couple
Was
hundred
there?
people there.
Was that the first day you could vote, too?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. A couple hundred people there. Yeah.
I like going to the polls on Election Day.
So do I.
You know what?
So do I.
You know what? I've done that before, but everybody was telling me to vote early this year because they think everything's going to be a clusterfuck, and it probably will be. So that's why I voted early.
Would you say that was the high point of your weekend?
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It was.
Anything?
The only thing that would have been better is if I took my car and drove across people's lawns. That would have been the only thing better.
What about mailbox smashing? Did you do that
No,
in
I
your
don't
heyday?
do that shit, dude.
No.
I don't smash mailboxes. I'd like to just smash people in the face.
Did you have a low point this weekend?
I'm sorry?
Did you have a low point this
Yeah, I'm here.
but it's
this
not
is
the
my
weekend.
low point is
It's
being
not the
here.
weekend. You got a day off yesterday. It's
Anyway, my low point is being
You
here.
had a free Monday afternoon. How'd you spend your Monday afternoon?
Nothing, doing nothing like I should have been here doing nothing.
Oh. Zolo, your weekend?
Don't put the camera on me, Bruce.
Weekend was good.
Camera's not on you.
Anyway,
Weekend was good. It was cold. I went into the tunnel Sunday before the football game.
Riveting.
It was cool, yeah. It's always a good time.
Look at that smile coming out of Zolo when he's talking about being in the tunnel.
I've done it before. I did it pre-pandemic, so I haven't been able to do it in a while, but it's different being down there now. Like the vibes are just completely
Immaculate.
different kind of tunnel.
different.
Immaculate.
Yeah.
Bruce, how was your weekend?
It was great. It's a great weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Good. We're going to change it up a little bit today. We are at the halfway point of the NFL season. We are going to, instead of going through every single game, we are going to go through every single team. And we're going to make mention of their game that they played in this weekend because there were no buys this weekend. Everybody played. And then we are going to select where we think each team is out of 4 categories. Zolo, would you like to explain more?
Yeah. So there's 4 tiers. We're going to sort the teams into 4 tiers. There's no limit on how many teams can go into which tier, but the tiers are obvious. Tier 1 is championship tier, which is the teams that have a very legitimate shot to win the Super Bowl. Tier 2, is in the hunt, which is the teams that could win a Super Bowl. They don't have a very legitimate shot, but they're very much in it. Team 3 is the not out of it tier, which are kind of the dark horses to either get into the playoffs, teams that are maybe on the outside looking in right now, or teams that have a second half run in them. And then Team 4 is easy. Stick a fork in them. Teams that we think are done. And we'll just go. We'll say a couple blurbs about the teams. We'll keep it short. And just our opinion on where every team... We're halfway. We're essentially halfway. I mean, that was week 8 that just wrapped up. We're going into week 9.
Actually, nine is really halfway, no, because of the buys.
It's technically 10. Technically, 10 would be a little over halfway because there's 17. There's 17 weeks now. So by week 10, every team will have played 9 games, I believe, or more. But we're there. I mean, we're heading into November this weekend, right?
Right.
So, yeah, we'll see if you have a team You have a team that you like? I know we haven't heard from Dark Lumen in a while. Let's see where your team stands. We have Dave Manderfield in the chat. He's the only Packers fan I know. See where the Packers stand. See where we think the Packers stand, Dave.
The other good thing about this is we have something to track now, right? So as these things change, we're obviously going to keep this documented. And as they change, next week's show, we might come out and say that we're changing tiers on a team.
Yeah.
So without further ado, we're going to get into it. But real quick, a couple things in the chat. Billy Rexroad in the chat said that the low point of Uncle Sam's weekend was the fact that he lost to you in fantasy.
Billy Rexroad, I hope you're doing better. I hope you're feeling better there, buddy. I hope the doctor scraped whatever that was down your little drain pipe there that you got. West Nile disease, fucking Korean fucking aphids. I don't know what they are.
Oh, shout out to Habibi Edition, who's also in the chat.
I saw him up there. Yalla Habibi. Another thing, Dark Human in the chat wants to know what we're going to be for Halloween. What are you going to be for Halloween?
I don't do Halloween, bud.
Zolo, do you have a costume picked out?
Yeah, so it's funny you asked. After the birthday party on Saturday, I went to a Halloween party.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarah and I went as Jack, and I don't know the wife's name from The Shining, Jack Nicholson from The Shining. Sent pics, and someone there, one of her coworkers was there with her husband as the twins from The Shining.
It's Wendy.
Wendy, that's right. Wendy, I'll send you the pictures too. You'll laugh. That being said, I might dig up. I'm going to go trick-or-treating with my nieces and nephew on Thursday. I'm going to stop by afterward, by the way. I might dig up the pumpkin costume. If not, I have a nice skeleton.
We love the pumpkin costume.
Just a skeleton costume might do the trick for me.
Bruce, you got a costume picked out?
Not yet. I really wanted to be Frodo from Lord of the Rings, but it's quite complicated.
I can see that.
That or Aragorn.
That's great.
Frodo
I'm
or
the
Aragorn.
chosen one.
Anyway.
I'm the chosen one. Somebody had to do it.
The chosen one?
Are you going to dress up? I noticed no one at your house was dressed up
That's
last year.
changing this year. Everybody's bringing out their big guns.
Yeah, please.
I'm the chosen one. Somebody had to do it. Anyways, let's go. Let's get into it. We're going to start with the AFC West. Let's start at the top of the rankings and go down right now by wins and losses. So AFC West, we're starting with Kansas City. This weekend, Kansas City played
The Raiders.
the Raiders. So actually, we're going to kill two birds with one stone here because this was the divisional game. So Kansas City comes out on top in this one. I don't think it was a fantastic game. Final score was 27-20 in favor of Kansas City. Uncle Sam, at this point right now, out of the 4 tiers that we named, taking into account yesterday's game, Kansas City, championship tier in the hunt, not out of it, or stick a fork in them. 7-0 Kansas City.
Road to the Super Bowl goes through KC.
Done. That's what we needed to
So
do.
we can call it the championship tier.
Championship tier. KC
Okay.
is in the championship tier. The thing,
The other 3 teams, good night.
well, we'll get there, but
The other 3 teams, good night.
for me,
Maybe Denver. Maybe Denver's got a shot. Maybe.
Kansas City still has not blown me away, but due to the fact that they're 7-0, due to the fact that they're the defending Super Bowl champions, you have to put them in the championship tier right now because more likely nobody be shocked to see Kansas City in the Super Bowl. I am putting KC
They're going to win their division.
absolutely.
They have to.
They have to.
to.
There's no way they don't. I am putting KC in championship tier.
Okay.
Championship tier for Kansas City. They're undefeated. They're in an easy division. They're the Patriots. They can just rope-a-dope their way. Even if they don't finish in first, which I think they don't end up finishing in first. Even if they don't finish in first, they can just rope-a-dope their way into the playoffs, and that's good for them. You know, you could stay healthy that way. You can take your foot off the gas. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And they'll still, like Uncle Sam said, they'll still end up with home field or something. Chiefs are a championship team. They're going for 3 in a row. Championship tier, no question.
Bruce, do you disagree with that?
Negative.
Okay. Let's talk about the other side of that coin now. The Raiders, who lost that game, are now 2-6.
They're done.
I'm ready to stick a fork in the Raiders.
They're done.
They gave it a good
They
game
don't-
yesterday.
Listen, they don't have a quarterback. They're done.
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 Uncle Sam sticking a fork in the Raiders. I, too, even though they competed with Kansas City yesterday, they're missing some serious pieces. It's not their year. They're in the Shedeur / whatever you want to call it sweepstakes. Stick a fork in Las Vegas.
Yeah, agreed. I think, all jokes aside, that's where Shedeur Sanders is going to end up. If they were smart, they would trade multiple players away, Max Crosby, to go get other picks and unite Shedeur with the Heisman winner, who is going to be Travis Hunter, and go get him his receiver, go get him a corner, which they've needed for years, especially to compete in that division. But stick a fork in the Raiders. They're done. I think Antonio Pierce is done. I think it's all bad there, and I would let Tom Telesco tear it to the studs and rebuild it.
Agreed. Bruce, you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's stick in the AFC West. Let's go to the Denver Broncos,
They just keep winning ball games.
who just keep winning ball games. Granted, it was against Carolina this weekend, but they came out on top 28-14.
They're in it.
Denver's interesting.
They're in it.
They're in second place right now, 2 games above 500. Where would you put them? In the hunt, not out of it. Championship. Where do you put Denver?
In the hunt.
This one. I'm borderline on Denver, but I'm going to say that Denver's in the hunt because right now they are very much in play for a wild card spot. They're not going to win their division because they got to go against Kansas City, but I think that the Broncos are talented enough, and Bo Nix is playing good enough football right now. If you look at his numbers, he's better than any rookie quarterback. I think they're in the hunt.
Yeah, I can't deny it. I think Denver is also in the hunt. I think in the hunt for me, it means a wild card team at least. Like they're going to make the playoffs. I'm going to put Denver in the hunt. I think it makes sense. I do think they ultimately get in. And I think the Chargers are going to have a pretty good shot at getting in too.
Yeah, let's talk about the Chargers. They played the Saints this weekend. They come out on top 26-8. Granted, it was a New Orleans team that's decimated with injury at the moment and not playing good football, but Chargers had a nice little win. LA's kind of an interesting one. I definitely don't think they're championship caliber, but I don't think that they're dead either. Right now, they're sitting at 4-3 and in third place.
Yeah.
Would you?
I would just say, you know what? They're not out of it.
They're not out of it. I agree. I wouldn't say they're in the hunt, but they're very close to in the hunt. Let's say if they can string together another win next week and they go to 5 and
some of these other teams are so fucking bad. I don't think they're out of it yet.
I don't think the Chargers are out of it, but I also am not ready to say that they're in the hunt.
So I want you guys to know that while we were sitting here talking, I switched my pick already on the Broncos, and I put them also in not out of it because I don't think the Broncos can win a Super Bowl, and I think the teams that are in the hunt can. Like there's someone that can evolve to win a Super Bowl. I think the Chargers and the Broncos are very much not out of it. I think they both can get into the playoffs. One of them will get into the playoffs. That's my prediction.
One of them will.
And I think it's the Broncos. I think it's going to be the Broncos.
Right now, I'm leaning Broncos as well. That's why I would say they're in the hunt. Let's move on. AFC South. Let's start out with the easiest one. Okay, the Tennessee Titans got fucking dismantled at Ford Field this week. Absolutely dismantled.
They're out of it.
They're 1-6. They're dead. Are we all in agreement there? Tennessee is dead.
Stick a fork in them.
Stick a fork in them. Jumping up one spot.
But my prop did come through, by the way.
Which prop?
The Rudolph passing stats over 220 yards passing.
He did have the ball for an obscene amount of time.
Didn't they have 400? I think they had 400 yards. I think they had 416 yards.
I told you he'd be over. The prop was over 120 yards passing, and I said over 220 passing.
Yes, you did.
And he did. By the way,
jumping up to third place in the AFC South, Jacksonville. They took a field goal loss to Green Bay this weekend. They're 2-6.
You know that AFC is so weak. I'm going to put not dead yet.
Not dead yet. So you're going
to
go not out of it. This is what's tough for me on Jacksonville is because they at moments like yesterday or Sunday, they showed that they can play some good football. And
I actually think they played good football the last 3 weeks.
I
They
know.
just come up short.
They just can't get it. Yeah. They can't finish the job. The 2-6 thing. is tough because you got
You know what? There's so many 2-6 teams.
you're behind
that they're
Denver.
not out of it yet.
Just to be clear, do you have them as not out of it, or do you have a stick a fork in them?
I'm as much as I don't want to stick a fork in Jacksonville, I'm going to stick a fork in Jacksonville. Just because, well, that AFC East is such a fucking mess. You know what? No. I'm going to say that they're not out of it because I still think there's a glimmer of hope for them. They're playing good
Weak.
football.
The AFC's weak. They
The
can get in.
AFC's weak.
Right.
I'm gonna give them a
They're not out of it yet.
But if they're a loss away. They're a loss in the next 2 weeks away from being out of it.
I'm sticking a fork in the Jags because of their start. They had one of the worst starts. It just math. I'm going with history. Even though stranger things have happened, they can't. Their start was so bad, and they had a 2% shot after they lost to the Bears. They had a 2% shot to get in, and I can't invest that much in a Patriots win. Good for them for pushing the Packers. The Packers didn't have Jordan Love for half the game. I hope the Jags have a better second half, but I'm sticking a fork in them.
There was a piece of news that just came out about Jamison Williams.
Oh?
He was pulled over after the Lions Halloween party, and they found multiple illegal assault weapons in his car. But somehow he was released without being taken in,
You know why?
and
That means they were registered to him, so it's not illegal.
well, that's going to be a fun.
It's not illegal.
to watch.
This
Not
was a
illegal to
rumor a
have a
couple
gun in
weeks
your
ago,
car.
too, by the way.
Sorry?
This was a rumor a couple weeks ago that it's this exact story, but it was considered fake, and it was this exact story, which is now real because it's being reported. But someone said that he had been pulled over a couple weeks back.
It was. Hold on. I just saw a second tweet now that said a few weeks ago.
Yeah, no, but this is if it's after the Halloween party, this is yesterday.
I'm going to write off that person was wrong because you're corroborating the fact that it was a few weeks ago, and I've seen 2 weeks that said a few weeks ago and one that said it was yesterday.
Okay.
Go with a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I had heard this from someone, and it was cleaned up.
Oh, it wasn't cleaned up. I mean,
Not
No. I heard this 3 weeks ago, and it's coming out now.
DPD
And
is doing an
people-
investigation onto why he was
And
let
people
go.
said that the cops let him go after all of this, and that's clearly what happened.
The
probably
gun
the
was,
guns are registered in his name. It's not illegal.
but he does not have a CPL.
So what? So the fuck what? You are allowed to carry a gun in your car. You don't need a CPL to carry a gun in your car. You do not need a CPL.
Yeah, but you can't have the clip in it. You can't have
Listen
it
to
in the
me.
driver's seat.
Did it say it was in it?
No, but
Did it say the gun was loaded? No. Because if it was loaded, he would have went to jail.
Gonna have to keep an eye out on that one. So you stuck a fork in Jacksonville. We gave them a glimmer of hope.
Yeah, you guys are identical right now, by the way, in your picks. Your tiers are the same.
Indianapolis, who made some big news today after their loss to Houston by a field goal, they have officially benched Anthony Richardson. And Joe Flacco has been named the starter. Indy is sitting at 500 in second place in the AFC South at 4-4. Uncle Sam, now that Flacco is quarterbacking the Colts,
You're in the hunt.
they're in the hunt, baby.
You're in the hunt.
They're in the hunt. Now, if
You're
they would,
officially in the hunt. You know what? The division's not over yet either. You're officially into the division.
You know, it's crazy. You're not wrong about that.
No, I know.
That division is very much up for grabs.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but yeah, they're in
A lot of
the
people
hunt.
are going to think that the Texans are going to run with this. That's not going to happen.
Well, they're in the hunt.
I don't think so.
Indy's in the hunt. Are you agreeing that Indy's in the hunt?
Oh,
I know it's painful, but they
I'm
are.
gonna put them in not out of it. I'm a little less lenient in my tiers than you are. I'm gonna put them in as not out of it because I don't think in the hunt for me is someone that can make a run towards the Super Bowl. I think they can make a run towards the playoffs.
I
They're
guess
not out
I'm
of
looking at in the hunt differently because I'm talking. In the
You can
hunt.
look
for
at
me
it
is
any way you
playoff
want.
teams,
I mean, you got
right.
your championship contender.
Yeah.
You have a championship contender coming out of this division or no?
It would be Houston, but right now, no.
After
Right
today.
now, no.
Then they're in the hunt.
The Houston Texans have announced that Stephon Diggs will miss the remainder of the season
Uh-oh.
due to an ACL tear. So now
Good night, Beard.
you're out Nico Collins, you're out Stephon Diggs, but they have said that they are now going to try and trade for a receiver.
No, don't tell me that, dude.
Interesting.
I just picked up that nobody on their team.
Who's
Well-
left at receiver that we're not talking
For
about?
them, it's Tank Dell.
John Mechie.
No. Who's for them to trade for?
Hitchison.
Because they could get
Hutchinson.
Nico Collins is eligible to come off IR as soon as next week. I don't know if he's going to. Like we'd know tomorrow if he practices, which means he'd be back for the Lions if he gets a full week of practice. But who's left to trade for the Texans?
If there's any truth to the Cooper Cup thing, but I don't think there
I don't think
is.
they're going to move on from Cooper Cup. They're
I think
they're not out of it.
Rams
Los
not out
Angeles
of it.
Rams.
There's a lot of talk about Green Bay moving a receiver because it's just so crowded.
Okay.
I don't
They're
know.
too inconsistent, period.
But that's the situation going on in Houston.
Okay.
Devontae Adams.
I don't think Zolo's tough with his in the hunt teams. I'm tough with my championship teams. I don't think Houston's a championship caliber team right now. I think they are a playoff team. I'm going to put them in the hunt.
Me, I think with Joe Mixon and a good defense, they are a championship caliber team.
Do you want to put them in championship?
Yeah. I will.
Okay, so you think that they're a Super Bowl
Correct.
contender?
I do.
Houston. Okay.
I do. I think their defense is good enough, and they can get their receiver shit fixed up. They'll be fine. They got one of the best running backs in the league right now, by far.
Houston hasn't blown it away. I can't do it.
I think because of the talent and because of what happened last year, and they're still hanging around, even though they have some losses. I wouldn't call them championship because I don't think they stack up with the Ravens or Bills at the moment. But I do think they're very much in the hunt. Really, their only loss is Diggs, and they didn't have Diggs last year,
True.
so that's their only
If
true
Nico
loss.
Collins comes through.
Nico Collins will be back and will be fine, in my opinion. It's just a matter of if they rush it back. And they get to play the Titans, and they get to play the Jags, and they get to play the Colts. Like, that's a really easy
Listen, I
division
watched
to
the
rope
Cleveland
a
Browns beat up fucking the best team in the AFC.
You ain't wrong.
So, you know what?
It was a divisional game.
Anything's up for grabs right now. It really is.
Speaking of that
outside
team,
the Titans.
speaking of that team, let's jump to the AFC North,
Go ahead.
where the Cleveland Browns did indeed beat their division rival, the Baltimore Ravens, yesterday. Cleveland comes out on top in this one with Jameis Winston, 30-30 quarterbacking, 29-24. Cleveland is now 2-6 with a new quarterback, Uncle Sam. Where are you leaving the dog?
I want you to know you're real even in your tiers, by the way, too. It looks great. You got 2 in each tier right now.
What do you mean?
We've done 8 teams. You have
Yeah.
2 in each of the tiers. You're evenly distributed.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to say this. I don't think Cleveland's in it. I don't. But I got a feeling they could throw a monkey wrench into this whole fucking division right here. That's gonna change things for everybody else.
So are you saying they're not out of it, or are you sticking a fork in them?
Here's the thing. I'm putting a fork in them, but the problem with putting the fork in them is they're going to put a fork in somebody else. And when they start doing that, it's going to change all of our little fucking brackets here. Go ahead.
I'm sticking a fork in Cleveland. Great win against Baltimore yesterday. Baltimore got punched in the mouth, divisional game.
Yep.
Cleveland has a fork in them, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Cleveland has a fork in them. Again, just going by history, I like the Cleveland team. I'm with you. I've liked them from the start. I like their defense. I don't know why it took so long to gel. I think it's great that Jameis played well.
You want to know what's scary? If their schedule going forward,
They can
kind of
ruin
fucking
them.
weak right now.
It's weak.
And they could rip off 6 wins here in the next 7 games. They're in it.
So you have them as not out of it, right?
I put out of it, but
You
you
put a
did-
fork-
You
you
stuck
put
a
a fork
fork.
in
You
them.
stuck a fork in
He
them.
put a fork in
I
the
put a
Browns.
fork in them. But now, I just, like I said, I think they can put a fork in somebody else.
Yeah, so
problem.
mainly their division, which they literally just did the other day.
Correct.
Because the margin for error for the Ravens was really thin, and they eroded it, right? They did a really good job at that, and now the
Browns
Ravens are
have
playing
2
catch up.
wins. Are they divisional wins?
Yeah,
They are.
yeah. They
So
know that
at
division.
2-6, what are they, 2-0 in their division?
No, didn't they
no,
lose to
their
the
first
Bengals? They
win
lost
was
to the
against-
Bengals.
Their first win was against Jacksonville and
Oh,
then
okay.
Baltimore.
Okay.
All right.
They've lost to the Bengals.
So really, divisional wise, they're still in it.
They have to go play Pittsburgh 2 more times. They have to play Kansas City. They have to play Cincinnati again. They have to play Baltimore again.
Did they leave Cincinnati? Did they lose to
They
Cincinnati
did.
already?
That's
They
the
lost one.
torn Achilles game. I think they're out of it. I'm gonna stick a fork in them.
Okay.
Too slow of a start, and that's a lot of ground to make up. Like, I think they're out of it with the division because they're not gonna catch Pittsburgh. But like, can they make up the ground with the other AFC teams, which is the Chargers, which is the Colts,
Correct.
which is
The wild card
the
team.
Broncos?
Yeah.
You're saying no. I think it's gonna be tough.
This is
It's
where
fun
I'm
with
gonna
Jameis,
put
but
Cincinnati into this next deal here.
go ahead.
So Cincinnati right now, they just lost another tough one fucking yesterday or Sunday. I think you might be able to close the book on them if they lose another game.
So they're not out of it though. Then
They're not out of it, but I think you close the book on them if they lose another game,
As the resident
especially
Bengals,
a divisional game.
yeah,
as-
let's hear from our Bengals. Suck me
All
off.
right.
yeah, as the resident Bengals slappy, I'm putting a fork in them. They're not good. Their defense is not good. Their offense at times looks really nice. They have no run game. Their offensive line is awful. And if Joe Burrow's not throwing for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns a game, they physically cannot win because they're in track meets that their defense can't stand up to. So yeah, they're 3-5, and yes, they could realistically go on a run, but they're not going to. That game yesterday, they should have been able to compete in that Philadelphia game, and they didn't.
They ran off the field.
They got ran out of the building.
It was ugly.
And I think it's just going to get worse for them at this point.
That was an ugly loss for them.
I'm putting a fork in Cincinnati.
I'm going to do something strange and go against the grain from you two. I'm on par with you. Oh, no, you did stick a fork in them, didn't you,
No.
Uncle Sam? No, okay, yeah.
I said they're in it.
Just because the AFC is so bad, I'm going to put them in not out of it. Very, very reluctantly. Look, realistically, I think they're out of it. Mathematically, they're not.
They're gonna need help to make it.
They're gonna need
To
help.
make it in, they're gonna need help.
They're going to need help. Just looking, let's go the top 2 teams in each division. It's Bills, Dolphins, it's Chiefs, Broncos, and we also are high on the Chargers. So Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers, Steelers, Ravens, Texans, Colts. Do we think the Bengals are better than any of those teams?
Yes.
Maybe the Chargers, the Bronco, or the Dolphins.
I think they're better than the Dolphins.
There's
They're
still
better
not
than
enough
the
spots,
Chargers.
though. There's still
Huh?
not enough spots. They're the 8th team, but they're in
They're
it.
better than those two teams.
They're in it.
This is where these games, the next 6 games coming in, are going to mean something. You're going to see this all flip around now.
They're not going to be able to compete in that division.
All right. We'll see.
And there's 2 teams going in. There's 2 teams going in from that division.
Well, we have to see. I mean, I think it's still too early to call.
Let's talk about Baltimore.
Even though teams have 2 wins, I think it's still too early to call. I do.
Baltimore's 5-3.
Yeah.
They lost to Cleveland yesterday.
Yeah.
They're a game behind Pittsburgh.
Yep. They're still in it. They're definitely in it. That's for sure.
For me, Baltimore's championship tier.
No, I would say not yet.
Baltimore took
To me, they have to beat Pittsburgh.
a bad L yesterday.
So are you in the hunt for Baltimore?
I'm in the hunt for Baltimore.
Cool.
I think the Steelers are championship material, just because the way the offense looks, and they're starting to really put something together
Wait
there.
a second. You're putting the Steelers.
He could
Yeah.
do 2 at once. He could do 2 at once.
What do you mean?
Yeah, but he's putting the Steelers in
I'm putting the
championship
Steelers in championship material,
and not the Ravens.
not the Ravens. Ravens are in the hunt. I got them in the hunt.
Wow.
Go ahead. You have the Ravens as championship, right, Sam?
I have the Ravens as championship. Absolutely. And I'm gonna say Pittsburgh's in the hunt.
Okay.
I'm gonna swap those 2. Again, the Pittsburgh thing, it's not computing for me yet. And I get it. They're 6-2. I get it. Baltimore's a better football team than Pittsburgh. I'm sorry.
Out of all the division races, this in the AFC for sure. We knew it would be. This is the most fun. This is by far the most fun. We're gonna get all 4 of these teams on Hard Knocks in a couple weeks, which is gonna be fun, and it's something to keep an eye on. They have a 1-game lead on the Ravens. They still play each other twice. Those are gonna be some great games. Some great games.
That'll tell you where they're at. They could flip flop real quick here.
I give an edge to Baltimore after the trade today. I like the trade for them. I think that offers something they need because I didn't watch the whole game. I didn't watch any of the game on
Ravens
Sunday.
got a receiver.
But they had a bunch of drops. I'm watching Bateman drop balls. I'm watching Zay Flowers drop
What
balls.
they got?
Deontay
Ravens
Johnson.
traded for Deontay Johnson today.
Deontay Johnson.
Who's got knee injury?
He'll be back this week.
Oh, He's back with a knee injury.
Back with a knee injury.
Interesting.
So I'm gonna put
Interesting.
I'm gonna put the Ravens in the championship tier, but they're close to lowering for me if they choke away another performance. Because they were doing this last year. They were still good. They still ended up with home field. But then it was because it was that Ravens team that choked games away that they weren't prepared and ready to take on the Chiefs at home at the end. So therefore, they're on the fringe. I'm gonna leave them championship for now. The Steelers are very much like I'm getting higher on the Steelers every week. They're very much in it right now. And they're fringe championship for me. I'm sorry. I know it was the Giants and I know it was the Jets. That's the only reason I want to see more. I want to see how they fare in the division. I want to see how they fare over the next month. I can easily move them a tier a month from now. I'm not going to do it yet though.
I'm not ready to say championship. I'm ready. I'm sticking with in the hunt just because of it was the Giants and the Jets. The compensation for this Deontay Johnson trade is actually mind-blowing to me. It was Carolina's 6th and Deontay Johnson for Baltimore's 5th. Carolina moved up 15 picks and lost Deontay Johnson.
Well, they were going to lose. He was a free agent. They were going to lose him anyways. Like that's the typical comp for a player like that. The comp only gets high when it's a top of the line tier guy. That's when you're talking about first and even seconds. Like if you go back to what McCaffrey got, and if you go back to what some like Brian Burns, it was multiple seconds to get Brian Burns out of like that's just the going rate.
You know something? Oh Jesus!
Base phone.
Sorry.
The only reason I'm not putting Pittsburgh in championship category, their wins right now are against Atlanta, Denver, the Chargers, the Raiders, the Jets, and the Giants.
The Atlanta win's good. The rest
Week
of the
1
wins
against Atlanta.
The rest of the wins tough deal.
They lost the 2 teams that they played besides Atlanta that are above 500. They lost to. So I'm not there yet. Moving on to the AFC East. God, what a fucking dumpster. We'll start out at the bottom and talk about the New York Jets.
I've been waiting a long time to hear what both of you have to say about the Jets. And
Actually, a lot of people have. There's been
thoughts.
at least 3 comments in the chat so far wanting to hear Uncle Sam's thoughts on the Jets regarding this topic. Jets are 2-6 coming off of a loss to
Wait, hold on. On TikTok, Lee A said you think Denver has a chance. That's a great question, Lee A. Uncle Sam had them in the hunt. Sam had them in the hunt. I have them as not out of it. Certainly have a shot at the playoffs. Of course, in their division, it's tough. But yeah, there's a very real chance that the Broncos make the playoffs as a wild card team. Sorry, go ahead.
No worries. The Jets took a field goal loss to New England yesterday. New England is regarded as the worst team in the NFL.
I don't think New England is the worst team in the NFL. I really don't.
Well,
I think it's a choice between the Titans and the Panthers.
Well, we're talking about the Jets.
And then comes the Jets, and then probably fucking New England.
You think the Patriots are better than the Jets?
Yeah, I do at this point. Yeah, I do. And you know what? You want to know what the sad part is? I think it's the coaching. I really do.
Listen, there's only
So you could just on record, you're sticking fork in the Jets.
I am not a, Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if he's the one calling the fucking shots or not, but their offensive coordinator's absolute dog.
They already changed it once.
It doesn't matter. He's got 2 fucking premier wide receivers and can't scheme them open.
It's crazy.
That's fucking sad.
It's crazy. So you're sticking a fork in the Jets, right?
Put a fork in them.
Put a fork in them.
Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I do. Aaron Rodgers doesn't look good.
It's not Aaron Rodgers.
It's Aaron
They
Rodgers,
can't
dude.
protect this guy. He's getting fucking hammered, dude.
Dude, you're supposed to be
Their
the GOAT.
offensive line
The GOAT.
is not good.
Their offensive line is not good.
He's about as good as Brady was.
Team
when he
game.
left.
Hold on.
Team game.
Brady made the playoffs
What? No,
last
they
year.
didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
They got bounced in the first
I think
round.
they had a losing record and made the
matter.
playoffs, if
They
I remember
were 8-9
correctly.
They made
and
it-
made the
they
They made
playoffs.
the playoffs with a losing
Yeah.
record.
They were 8-9 and made the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers will not do that. He's
All right,
not
let's-
playing good
let's
football.
see if Aaron Rodgers can win more than fucking 8 games this year.
No chance.
See that.
Absolutely no chance.
We'll see that.
This was the easy. This is
They
the
got
easy
2 right
ones.
now.
They can't
They need to
the
win
easy
6
ones.
more games toward the end of the year.
And
I don't care. I'm not going to fucking get into it with you. I'm just telling you.
their defense sucks. and Aaron Rodgers plays general manager, and he gets everything he wants,
that's
and mortgages the
hearsay.
future of the team, and they
Hearsay.
still get. He's pulling a LeBron James right now. Aaron Rodgers is the NFL equivalent to LeBron James.
So are
he
you.
wants the coach
You're
gone.
the tip
Coach is gone.
of LeBron James.
He wants people to come in. They come in, and he still can't get it done. The Jets are dead, and I'm happy about it.
You
Can
know
I
what?
go? Oh.
I got them in the hunt. I'm gonna change my thing. They're in the hunt.
That's just spite.
They're in the hunt. I'm
You're-
changing my thing.
You're switching him?
Yep, in the hunt.
Don't
You
humor
can
that.
write off the
Don't humor
Patriots,
that.
and I'm putting them in the hunt.
Okay,
Don't
so
humor
you're moving the Patriots to stick a fork. Well, they were already
Correct.
in there.
Put a fork in them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I do the Jets real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
I think the Jets are one of the most colossal failures in the history of sports.
Agreed.
And that's not to say that they can't make the playoffs still or anything like
Yes,
that.
it does.
Because they could prove us wrong. I just think right now, through 8 weeks, nothing has ever gone poorly in the NFL as bad as this has.
They've lost 5 in a row.
I can think of other instances when the Brooklyn Nets got Kyrie and Kevin Durant and James Harden, and when Kobe brought in Gary Payton and Karl Malone with the Lakers and the Pistons beat them in 5. Like there's instances here and there of super teams. Like no, not only were the Jets supposed to win this division, they were supposed to be a Super Bowl shoe-in almost. Like they were supposed to be an AFC frontrunner, top 3 team in the AFC. They're in last and just had another embarrassing loss 2 weeks after trading for Devontae Adams. Of course, there's nowhere that you can't go lower than this because they're technically lower than the Patriots. So you can't get worse than where the Jets already are. But this is one of the worst things in the history of sports, in my opinion, in terms of like it's a colossal failure. Now, could they go on some sort of run and right the ship? Yeah, I just don't see it happening.
They're going to lose again.
There's
this
6
week
teams
to
in the AFC with the same fucking record as them. So you know
Yeah.
what? I don't think they're out of it yet.
But of those 6 teams, like we're talking, okay, Dolphins, Patriots,
Yep.
Raiders,
Yep.
Browns, Jags. Like I'm taking 2 of those teams
6
over
get in,
them.
right?
7 get in.
7 get in.
I'm taking 2 of those teams that I named over the Jets. And on top of that, like they still have to fight with the Chargers and the Colts and the teams that do have a little bit better juju going on.
If
So it's
you-
just tough.
If you want to put the Jets in the not out of it category, all 3 teams that are not out of it have a better shot of making the playoffs than the Jets.
There you go.
The Chargers, the Jags, and the Bengals all have a better shot than the Jets.
There's not much to say about the Patriots. I have not out of
Patriots
it.
are stick of
Yeah, stick a fork. Excuse me, I have a stick a fork in them. You have a stick a fork in them, and Uncle Sam has a stick a fork in them. There's nothing like. Great spot for Travis Hunter. That's what I could say about the Patriots. Great spot for Travis Hunter.
Next up, Miami Dolphins
Done.
took an L this week to the Arizona Cardinals by a point.
Done.
Stick a fork in them.
Stick a fork in 'em.
Why?
Because.
Or do you want to go?
Stick a fork.
The only reason he's sticking a fork in the Dolphins is because I talked badly about the Jets. That's the only reason.
No, I just don't think they're that good.
Do you think the Dolphins are better than the Jets?
Maybe. We don't know that yet. We got to see him play.
So if the Dolphins are better than the Jets, how are you sticking a fork in them?
We have to see him play yet. We haven't seen him play yet.
Yes, but I just asked you, and you said
I
you
just
thought the
I
Dolphins
just told you
were better
we
than
haven't
the
seen him
Jets.
play yet.
J-
They had the same fucking record, dude.
All 3 of these teams are dead. They're all dead. None of them are making the playoffs. None of them are good enough to make the playoffs. Miami, it was nice to see them play halfway decent football, but they're in such a fucking hole. The only thing they have going for them is the half game they're up on New England and the Jets. And maybe if somehow they can formulate a run, because they get to play the Jets twice and the Patriots twice. They already beat the Patriots.
Okay, that puts you at 500. Is that enough to get
No.
you in the Colts, Broncos? Is it enough,
It's
Chargers tier?
I mean, they
This
go
late?
they go to Buffalo this week. They're going to lose. Then they go to the Rams. They're going to lose. Then they hit the Raiders and the Patriots. Great. You're still they'll be
If
lucky
you
to
lose
make
the
it
next
5
2, it's 8 losses,
Right.
correct? Or is
They're
it
dead.
7? You can't.
dead.
You can't have 8 losses going into November.
They're dead.
You can't. It's just
Dolphins are dead.
They're
Yeah. Tampa had 9
They made the playoffs.
and made the playoffs.
Dolphins are dead.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins are dead as well. There's really not much to say. Like that was their shit or get off the pot game this weekend. You had everything going for you. You get Tua back, et cetera, and they took a shit. That's the one they needed. So I think the Dolphins are dead, just mathematically. Like I'm a part of me wants to put them in not out of it, just because the bottom half of the AFC is so bad. I just don't think they have the juju to get up there with the Colts, to get up there with the Broncos, to get up there with the Chargers, get up there with the Ravens. You know, like there's only so many mouths to feed, and I think they're gonna starve because of it.
Last but not least in the AFC, Buffalo at 6-2 in first place in the division, coming off of a big win in Seattle, 31-10.
You have to put them in championship.
Buffalo's a championship team. The Amari Cooper trade put them over the top. They're playing great football. They're a championship team.
I think Keon Coleman finally coming alive. Put them
Absolutely.
over the top.
It's
That's what's putting them
clicking.
over the top.
The first couple weeks of the year, Buffalo was not clicking. They're clicking now. They're a championship team.
Yeah, not even reluctantly. Love
Yep.
what I've seen after their 2 losses. I think they're a championship team, and not only that.
They're playing the best football.
Not only that, little spoiler right now. If you were to put a gun to my head, who ultimately wins the AFC and who goes to the Super Bowl, I'm taking the Bills right now.
I agree.
It's November, or excuse me, it's the end of October, but I'm taking the Bills as the team that wins the AFC.
And
at
how
the moment.
happy does that make you as a Lions fan?
That would be an emotional ass Super Bowl, because that is my Super Bowl, is Bills Lions right now, as it stands right now.
Road to the Super Bowl goes to Kansas City.
No one's denying that. I just think the
I'm
Bills are going to
denying
go.
that.
I just think the Bills are going to go into Kansas City and win it this time.
I am denying that. Oh, by chance, did Mahomes get a passing touchdown in the month of October yesterday?
Yeah.
He got one finally?
did.
Good for him.
Oh, Kelsey. I think it was Kelsey too.
Oh, there you go. It only took until, what was it, October 28th. There we go.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on to the NFC. Let's start with the NFC West. A clusterfuck of a division, to say the least. 3 teams at 500 at 4-4, and the Rams sitting just a half a game back at 3-4. Let's start at the bottom. The Los Angeles Rams, who
In it.
are coming off of a win against the Minnesota Vikings
They're in
on
it.
Thursday night.
In the hunt. You got him in the
They're
hunt.
in the hunt. Absolutely.
I want to make this easy.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, as it stands, I'm gonna agree with him. I don't
In
know.
the hunt.
I don't know why I'm gonna agree with him. I have 2 teams from this division in the hunt, and I have 2 teams in this division not out of it. And I know it's not gonna make sense, but the Rams right now are in the hunt.
Okay, fair.
Even though they're in last place, they're in the hunt.
I'm going to put the Rams in not out of it. I don't think they're in the hunt for me, like I said, as a team that is a dark horse right now that could go on to win the Super Bowl. I was very high on the Rams at the beginning of the year. I just think they have a few too many holes at this point. They're not, they could win the division. They could easily win the division. I'm taking 2 teams to win the division over the Rams, but the Rams are very much they're in the division race. I just don't think that anyone can win the Super Bowl in this division, believe it or not. I don't think so.
I agree.
So I'm going to put the Rams in not out of it, because I think there's a very good chance that they get in. They need the AFC, or excuse me, the NFC North to have a little bit of a collapse between the Vikings and the Bears or the Packers. They need 2 of those teams to implode, right? And then counter to
They've
that,
already beat one of them.
yeah.
So,
And they almost beat the Lions too.
correct.
Where are
But
you
they
at?
lost to the Packers and they lost
in
to
it.
the Bears.
I think they're in it, dude. Even though they only have 3 wins, I think they're in it, dude. They can go on a run right now. They're getting some of their pieces back, some of their offensive line back that they needed, and it showed. It showed against the Vikings, who are a very good team.
Jumping up to 3rd place, the first 4-4 team. They got stomped by Buffalo this week, 31-10. Seattle 4-4. I'm going to drop Seattle down a tier from the Rams. I think the Rams are playing better football right now. I think the Rams are getting a lot of pieces back. I think right now the Rams are a better football team than the Seahawks. I'm going to put the Seahawks as not out of it just because this division is so tight, but I'm going to put them down a grade from the Rams.
Uncle Sam,
Yep.
not out of it.
I agree.
I'm with.
I
both of you.
don't think any of the teams in this division are out of it. I don't think the Niners.
Yeah, no. That's
There's no
that's
Super Bowl.
an extremely fair assessment. I think all 4 of these teams are just not out of it, with maybe
Correct.
with maybe if San Francisco gets healthy, a fringe in the hunt.
Okay.
I just think this division.
One of these teams are gonna at least one of these teams are gonna need help getting into the playoffs because they're not gonna have a record
Yeah.
as good as the teams in the north.
Here
You
we
got to
go.
win this division to get in. You have to win this division
have
to
to.
get in. in
You
my
have
opinion.
to.
And it's
Frisco,
wide open. I mean, there's
open.
one fucking game separating them.
half a game.
So
I'm with you guys. We're on the same page.
Frisco beat Dallas, which means nothing anymore, but they won 30-24 in a pretty good football game. They're at 500. I'm going to put Frisco in the same tier as the Rams and say that they are in the hunt because right now, as it stands, I think the Rams and the 49ers are the two teams who I would be more inclined to say win this division. So I'm going to put the Rams in the hunt, or the 49ers in the hunt with the Rams.
I think the Cardinals. I think they're playing pretty good.
Hold
right
on.
now.
Do
Where
the,
are you
do the,
putting the
do the Niners
49ers?
first,
I
and then we'll do the
already said
Cardinals.
they're in the hunt.
They're in the hunt. So
They're in
you're
the hunt.
putting the Niners with the Rams.
The Niners and the Rams are in the hunt right now. I don't think Seattle's going to make it
I
either. The Cardinals are kind of fucking wishy-washy.
Where do you have them? In the hunt or not out of it?
I got those three not out of it.
And then the 49ers in the hunt?
No, I got all three of these teams in the hunt right now. All
Okay,
three of them.
he's
are in
putting the Cardinals in the hunt. I'm putting the Cardinals in not out of it. I think the Cardinals are the weakest team in
So
this.
you have Rams, Niners, Cardinals in the hunt, and Seahawks not out of it.
correct.
I'm the only thing that we disagree on is I think the Cardinals are the weakest team in this division right now, and they're playing them.
I
in
actually
Seattle.
don't. They beat San Francisco.
Can I tell you something?
That's why they're in first place.
They're in first place.
It doesn't matter.
They're in first place, and they haven't played their best football is way ahead of them right now.
Yeah, but
And
how
things
long-
are starting to click for them on a
Hold
lot
on.
of fronts.
They're going to get some guys back too.
They're
They're going to be getting some guys back that are hurt.
I'm not there. The Jets might get their third win against them in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Cardinals aren't doing anything for me. It was cute to start out the year, and then
They're out of it then for
So
you?
do you have them stick a fork in them or not out of
No,
it?
I have them in not out of it. I have them in not out of it. I don't think they're dead. Just because God knows it could be catastrophe in that division, but I think the Rams and the Niners are both better.
I want you guys to know it just seems like you're both having way too much fun right now.
I'm having a great time right now.
I didn't get to go on the Niners. I very, very, very reluctantly, and I'm going to put the Niners as in the hunt, which for me means a team that could come out and win the Super Bowl.
Correct.
There's a chance they don't even get into the playoffs. Let's be real. We can be completely real about that.
Yes.
In order to get in my opinion, right now, the Niners have to win their division, which is not a lock. The Rams could come out of nowhere, the Seahawks, and then, of course, the Cardinals.
It's wide open. That whole
Gun to my head, and this is weird considering where I stand. Gun to my head, I think the Cardinals win the division. I'm putting the Cardinals and not out of it, and I have the Niners as in the hunt because they were built for this. They're the team that's going to get in if someone in the North implodes. If two teams in the North implode, the Niners are going to get in, even if they don't win in the division, and they're a seasoned veteran group, so they're going to go on a run.
If the Rams play anybody the way they played Minnesota this week, they're very fucking
The
different.
Rams
Could easily
They're
win the
fucking
division.
good.
today,
The Rams could easily win the division. The Seahawks can win the division.
right now, today, this changes for me if Christian McCaffrey pops back into the equation.
He's coming. He'll play.
When he pops back into the equation, it changes for me. But right now, today, I'm picking the Rams to win this division. And I hated the Rams to start the year. But I think they're playing the best football out of anybody in this division.
Can I tell you something? I think the Cardinals are going to win this division.
Who are you picking to win the division?
If you guys remember, I don't want to go back too far, but I had picked the Cardinals to make the playoffs and the Commanders.
I didn't pick the Cardinals to win the division, but I had them as a
And they're
playoff
both
team.
leading their divisions right now.
Yeah,
It's kind of fucking weird, no?
not weird at all. That's why everyone's here for. They're here for your takes.
Moving up to another dumpster fire, the NFC South. We can all stick a fork in Carolina, right?
Yeah.
1-7.
I think they're done.
They're fucking dead.
Is there anything in college football? What's a hole? Let's just so we could say we talked about the Panthers. What's a hole that you could see the Panthers trying to fill?
Travis Hunter, wide receiver. What are you? You're not. You just traded away one. They're going to be picking at the top of the draft. I don't see them taking quarterback. Not again. I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, what do you do?
The worst-
Do you write that kid off? Or do you give him some fucking stability? He has nothing to work with.
The worst job in the world right now would be the Carolina Panthers GM. Because everything in your body. You bench Bryce Young. So you're like, okay, we're admitting that this isn't the guy. But then you're bringing him back because things are going so poorly. So you think, okay, maybe we made the wrong pick.
Do they go quarterback?
It's not going to work because
you-
historically it
It's a
doesn't
really-
work with
Do you
them.
throw all those draft picks you
It's a fair
used
question.
for him
It's
in
a
the
fair-
garbage?
It's a fair question. This is my take on quarterback for the Panthers. So yeah, I think it's fair to have to assume that. I definitely think that there's a scenario where they move on from Bryce Young. Bryce Young may simply just because I saw flashes in the highlights that I saw. I saw little flashes from him against a good defense in Denver, but it's not going to work there. It's not going to work there. So I think you move on from Bryce Young. You let him go for greener pasture, work for Baker Mayfield, work for Ryan Tannehill, work for other people. So that's the question is, do they do quarterback? I wouldn't do it next year. I wouldn't build around the quarterback because they failed to do that a few times now. So what I would do is I would do like the Lions approach, the Chargers approach. I would start building trenches out, which means an offensive lineman. I would go start to build a legitimate offensive
So
line.
you don't think they're picking too high to do that?
No.
No, not at all.
best.
Offensive linemen go number one all the time. They go number one
Not in the
overall.
last few years.
No, it's been a quarterback the last couple years, but I mean, it's very legitimate that offensive linemen go number one overall.
There's
And I
a-
think that's a play for them.
There's a couple interesting reasons why I don't think they're going to take quarterback. And that's Justin Fields and Sam Darnold. Both of them are on one-year deals. Both of them are going to be free agents after this year. Both of them are out of jobs after this season. I think if you're
You're
Carolina,
saying Justin Fields and Sam Darnold.
I think one of them end up as QB1 for Carolina next year. And
Or
I think
Malik
they do.
Willis.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's another option.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, why would you throw this kid out now? That to me makes no
Because
sense.
that's what Carolina
He has not had a legitimate.
I'm not saying throw him out.
Here's what I'm saying about him. If you're going to sit here and you draft this kid,
You
been 2
mortgaged
years.
the whole thing
It's
for him.
been 2 years. You mortgaged fucking 5 picks for this guy.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make it work. You got to give him a legitimate shot. He doesn't have a legitimate shot. He doesn't have weapons around him. They're not a good team, period. They're not a good team. You just need to start bringing in players to put around this guy. And it starts with up front.
Next up,
Their protection is the worst in the league.
New Orleans coming off a bad loss to the Chargers yesterday. It's 2-6. I'm sticking a fork in New Orleans. They're done. They're done. I'm sorry. They ain't gonna win too many more football games. It's the same song and dance with them.
And in the NFC, they're not going.
They're done. You're not getting it done with Spencer Rattler and Jake Hayner. Even if Derek Carr comes back,
I don't think it matters because I think
Doesn't
the
matter.
Falcons and the Bucks are both better, and I don't see them coming back at this point.
they're dead. They're dead.
You stuck a fork in them too?
There's too many other viable wild card teams to think that New Orleans and the thing is, New Orleans isn't going to be even in a wild card chase. I don't think they're going to win any. I don't think they're going to win that many games going forward.
I'm not going to justify it. They're not getting in, and they time to start talking quarterback for the Saints, right?
Yes,
they
without question.
need to figure out that position going forward because there's some pieces there. They just locked Kamara up long term.
Yep.
They've drafted offensive linemen recently, so there's a lot to like. You have Chris Olave. It's time to start thinking about a quarterback, a real one.
A real quarterback. I agree. Moving to the top two teams in this division, they played each other this week, and Atlanta came out on top again. Or Atlanta came out on top, 31-26. Atlanta's 5-3 and in first place. Tampa's 4-4 and in second place. Mike Evans looking like he may play next week for the
They're
Buccaneers.
still in it.
I agree.
Tampa is still in it.
I would put Tampa Bay right now, and this is going to surprise you, but I'm going to put them in not out of it. I'm not going to put them. Actually, no. Hold on.
They're in it. I got them in it.
You have them in the hunt.
I got them in the hunt. I think Baker Mayfield's playing good without anybody, and gave Atlanta everything they could handle.
This one's so difficult for me, but yes, if I'm going off of the basis of in the hunt being playoff teams, then yes, I'm going to keep Tampa in it, but I don't have much faith in them at the moment. And I think the same goes for Atlanta. I don't think there's very much separating this Atlanta and Tampa team. So if I'm going to say The Bucks are in the hunt. Then Atlanta is in the hunt as well. But I don't have like.
I got them both in the hunt. They're not championship caliber,
But they'll be one of the two teams will win the division. The other one will probably get bounced in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, Bucks for me are going to be not out of it. They would be in the hunt had the injuries not happen.
I know.
I'd have them as a team that could win the Super Bowl because their defense is that good and everything was rolling.
The Chris Godwin thing was huge.
I'm curious to see how they move going forward. I think they certainly need a receiver. I think they certainly need Mike Evans back. They really need Mike Evans back.
They desperately need Mike Evans.
I thought they played pretty well without those guys.
If they
did,
had,
but
if they
but
had
they
Mike
lost.
Evans,
It's another
this
division
week,
loss.
If they had Mike Evans this week, they would have won that game.
Probably.
Yep.
Reluctantly, I'm going to put them in not out of it. They again, if this was 2 weeks ago, they're in the hunt for me, but they're not anymore because again, the NFC is so not wide open. There's only so many mouths to feed in the NFC, and I don't think that they're going to be one of those wild card teams when it's all said and done. It's going to be really tough for them.
Okay.
That leaves us the Falcons. I'm putting the Falcons the same as the Bucks, same category. I like the Bucks better than the Falcons, but the injuries right now are making me are what's holding me back. So with that said, because of the Bucks injuries, I'm putting the Falcons in the hunt as well. You?
Yep. In the hunt.
You have the Falcons in the hunt.
Yep.
Sam, you have the Falcons in the hunt. Or
I
not
have the
out of it?
Falcons in the hunt.
I am gonna go with not out of it for the Falcons because, of course, they're gonna get into the playoffs. They're gonna win their division. I don't think they have the juice to make a run against the other top tier teams in the NFC. I don't think the Falcons are better than whoever comes out of the NFC. I don't think they're better than 3 out of the 4 teams in the NFC West. I think they're better than 3 out of the 4 teams in the NFC North. And I think they would struggle against the Eagles or the Commanders even. So I'm going to put the Falcons as not out of it, but they're going to win the division and they're going to get in ultimately.
Moving on to the NFC East. The New York Giants are 2-6, coming off of a loss to the Steelers. I am putting a fork in the New York Giants.
Yeah, they're done.
Yeah, I'll put a fork. There's not much to say.
Not much to say.
Same drill
They
as
need a
the Panthers. Same drill as the Panthers. What do they need? What do we envision going forward for them? Because their whole regime's coming back.
Offensive line bad.
This is the thing. The highlight of that Giants team is that defensive front, and it's really good, and it looks really good. Daniel Jones sucks. The experiment's over. You fucked up. Admit it. Lick your wounds. Move on.
I think they know this.
They've got to move.
Regardless, I think they know it. They need to get a quarterback. They're going to be picking high.
You let Saquon Barkley walk. Yeah, your running back core is cute. You probably shouldn't have done that. You have a decent little receiver room. You need a fucking quarterback. You need a quarterback. That's it. And you need to go out and get offensive line help in free agency.
I agree on all fronts. They need offensive
They
line.
went to free agent.
It's not they need to draft an offensive lineman. But this is where like if I'm Joe Shane, I'm starting to sink in I don't know why some of the trades that he's made, but I'm starting to sink in draft capital in an offensive lineman and a quarterback. Like you have to go for a quarterback now. You have to do it. And next year's a good year for them to do it. So yeah, I agree with you guys. I think quarterback's the play for them next.
Cowboys?
3-4 Dallas Cowboys coming off a loss to Frisco. I'll let you go first. Go ahead.
They're
Take
done.
it away.
You're just taking a fork in them?
Put a fork in them. They're done. I know that sounds kind of weird to a team that's 3-4, but what I've seen out of them the past 3 times that they've played, they just give up. Now, is that because Parsons not there? Is it because he's not there? That fucking defense forgot how to play football? Is that what it is? I can't answer the question. I don't know. But I think they're done. Really think they're done.
This margin's starting to get really wide for me because Washington and Philadelphia keep winning games and Dallas keeps losing games. The unfortunate part about it for me is I think they're still a week away from getting a fork stuck in them.
So not out of it?
But see, I think they are out of it. I think they're out of it, but they're not dead. But You're right. I got to stick a fork in them.
Okay, that's fair.
I got to stick a fork in the Cowboys. They're just not a good football team.
I'm going to put them reluctantly. I'm going to put them in not out of it. I don't think they get in. I think the hole is a little bit deep, and I think that they're going to get
need
caught
too
off
much
guard.
help from other people.
They're going to get caught too far off guard about how the division's shaping out, like the Commanders mainly.
The only thing is I don't, even though Philly's 5-2, I don't trust them.
No.
And I
don't
could
trust
see Philadelphia falling apart and Dallas somehow creeping in a wild card spot. You know what? I have to put Dallas and not out of it because I still think there's. If I'm putting Jacksonville and not out of it, I have to put Dallas and not out of it.
So,
I have to put them in not out of it.
Just going back on the Cowboys, I kind of disagree with what you said, Uncle Sam. I thought they looked decent Sunday night. Like, I thought they played competent. The only thing I'll knock them for is it was against another team that was in disarray in San Francisco. They were certainly missing some parts to go on and win the game, but offensively, it was there. It was totally there.
I wasn't talking about.
I know the defense. You were emphasizing the
Their
defense.
defense was fucking awful.
You were emphasizing the defense just because of their record. Like, again, it's going to be really hard for two teams to get in certain divisions because of how the North is played out. Like, it's you need the North to implode, and it's not that easy. Like, those are legitimately 4 good teams in the North. And I do, like, if it's a choice between Cowboys and Eagles, like, I think the Eagles are ultimately going to come away with the division. But if it's a choice between Cowboys and Eagles, I'm choosing the Eagles because they were more aggressive and they were more built for this. Even if we don't like what we've seen from the Eagles so far, and I don't think all 3 of us have liked what we've seen from the Eagles.
Pretty inconsistent all the way down.
Yeah, no, I'm putting the Cowboys reluctantly and not out of it. I think they could make a push, but they're not. I'm not gonna pick on them doing it. That's fair.
Yeah.
You want to do the Eagles real quick?
Yeah, I think they're in it.
Eagles are 5-2,
They're in
second place, half a game behind Washington, coming off of a W in Cincinnati.
That was a big win for them in Cincinnati. That was a really good game, actually. I don't know if you
It was a great game.
or not. No, it was a fucking really.
The Eagles played a good game. And with that being said, their record, everything else, I don't have all the faith in the world in them, but I'm going to put them in the hunt.
You have them in the hunt as well, the Eagles?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go in the hunt because they were built to win a Super Bowl this year. This is the last year of that window. So if it doesn't happen, heads will roll. I don't think it's Howie Roseman's. I think it's Sirianni and everybody. But
Should be Sirianni.
yeah, the Eagles are in the hunt. I think they ultimately end up winning the division too. But how far they can go from there remains to be seen.
I don't know, dude. I like what Washington's been doing, dude.
Well,
I
with
really
that
do.
said, Washington had a Hail Mary win against the Chicago Bears this weekend in picks 1 and 2 facing off. Washington at the top of the division, 6-2. I'm not ready to say Washington is a championship team. I will put them in the same category.
I
as the
think
Eagles.
you could put to rest Jaden Daniels' fucking rib injury if he could throw the ball 70 yards in the fucking air.
I agree with that. And with
Yeah.
that, I think Washington is in the hunt.
He launched that from about the 35-yard line. I was like, motherfucker.
You're in the hunt. You have them in the hunt.
Yeah, I got them as you know what? I'm gonna say they're championship contender.
The command. You on them in
Yes.
the championship tier.
I really do. I think they got a good young quarterback. They've got a solid team all the way around, except for their secondary. But I mean, their front seven is fucking good. Their running game is really good. They got a nice 3-headed monster going on there. They got Scary Terry's fucking top notch. I think he's one of the top receivers in the league. I think he's underrated.
Terrence.
Yeah, I think he's underrated. I really do.
I'm gonna put the Commanders. I think they should be down a tier, but because they have a shot to win the division, and I think they could give a lot of teams fits because they have given a lot of teams fits. I'm gonna put them as in the hunt, with the chance to be demoted. They're still missing a little bit from me. I like how their defense has
Pieced
played
it together.
It's patchwork, but it's worked, right? But now you have to be able to do that against
You
Philly.
know what? They remind me of Detroit right now.
Yeah, they're
Just
Detroit.
fucking
That's the
playing
comparison.
Guys and they're fucking. They continue to win.
That's the comparison as the Lions
I don't
last
care if
year.
It was a fucking Hail Mary. I mean, they pulled it out.
They still
won
beat a
the
good
fucking
team.
game, dude.
They beat a good team. They
Yeah.
gutted one out, and that's big.
Yeah.
And it happens. It's the NFL. They're not supposed to be easy. They have to play the Cowboys twice. They have to play the Eagles twice. They have to play the Falcons once.
That'll tell us where they're at.
Yeah,
Those
and
games with the Cowboys and the Eagles. Will
I
tell
think
you
they
where
could.
they're
I think they could be, and they should be better than the Cowboys. You need to stay healthy, right? They're one.
Right.
They're one pin away from having the rug pulled under them.
Yeah.
Um,
I think as long as Jaden Daniels is playing, I think. And I would tell you what, Mariota didn't look bad coming in his spot last week. I think they're pretty good. I do. I think they're a little. I think people underestimate them, and I think that's what they're feeding off of that.
Let's move on to the NFC North. Chicago Bears are 4-3, bottom of the division. 4-3 is a nice record. That puts them a half a game better than Tampa Bay. That puts them a half a game better than the entire NFC West. Where are you at with the Chicago Bears coming off of the loss to Washington?
I don't think they're out of it.
I agree in saying they are not out of it.
They are not out of it. You can't say they're out of it with a 4-3 record.
Nope.
You can't say that.
you cannot.
And
They're not.
the only reason why, if they were in a different division, I would have them in the hunt more likely than not. But they have to play they've got to play us twice. They've got to play Green Bay. They've got to play Minnesota. It's just, they're good, but they're just not good enough. I think that they are not out of it, but not in the hunt.
Yeah, agreed. This isn't their year. I love as someone that's always been low on the Bears. I always take the time to remind you guys I've been low on the Bears for years. They're trending in the right direction and everything's good. And I still think I thought Caleb Williams was bad for 3 quarters and then was everything he needed to be in the 4th quarter. I think he's going to be very good, even though the microscope is widened because of how good Jaden Daniels has been. They're not they're a playoff caliber team. I think there's a very legitimate shot that they get in.
Chicago would have took Jaden Daniels. You think they'd be in a better position right now?
No, I don't.
Really?
I don't. No.
That's interesting.
They're different quarterback. They do different things and they
I'm just asking.
different systems.
Yeah.
There's a lot that makes Jaden
I
Daniels
would
worse.
love to see Jaden Daniels thrown at his receiver core.
How about if Caleb Williams has Cliff Kingsbury? Do you think
Yeah.
that would change the outlook a little
Maybe.
bit?
Maybe.
They're different quarterbacks. Like Jaden Daniels is. I'm not going to say he's at his
Seen the
ceiling.
Kingsbury thing implode though. We've already.
We
seen
have, but not. But as a
don't
head
know if that's
as a head coach,
Oh,
not as an. They
yeah.
just need him to call plays and make his quarterback look good. No, Chicago's very much not out of it. I don't think they're going to win the division, and I don't think they're going to be in the hunt to win a Super Bowl. But yeah, I think there's a legit shot. If they get to 9 wins, they're going to have a shot at getting into the playoffs.
I agree.
Yeah.
Minnesota, 5-2, coming off of the 2 losses in a row, with a loss to Los Angeles on Thursday night. I'm going to put, and I know this is going to be very surprising, but I'm not. I think the Minnesota thing is really going to start to fall off. I'm going to put Minnesota in not out of it as well. I know they're 5-2, and I know it's really hard to say a team that's already 5-2 at this point in the year is not in the hunt, but I'm sorry. They're fraudulent. They are fraudulent. They're not out of it, but they are also not in the hunt.
I'm gonna say they're in the hunt. They're in the hunt. They lost to 2 of the better teams in their conference. I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah, but they didn't look. I just don't think they look good against the Rams.
I didn't think they looked bad against the Rams, dude. That was a fucking tight game, dude.
But it's the
It's
Rams.
just Stafford was just too much for him.
Yeah, I've been saying all year I haven't bought Minnesota.
Darian Williams,
I'm
they
still
couldn't
not
stop
buying. I'm still not
Defensively, I think they took a little step back there this week.
Yeah, I think the Vikings are very much in the hunt. They could totally win the division if they wanted to. My only knock on the Vikings is that they're an injury away. If someone gets injured, this thing, and it doesn't matter who it is.
Got to be somebody prominent.
If Darnold gets injured, this is done. If Jefferson gets injured, this is done. If Aaron Jones gets injured, this is probably done.
Yes.
That's my only knock on the Vikings is they're just not deep, which is why no one was talking about them before the year. They were a good
Right.
team, like they've been good the last couple years. They've been a good team, but they're not deep. They don't have the depth to compete with the championship caliber teams.
Right.
I think they're in the hunt.
Can I ask you a question?
Right.
Minnesota plays Joe Flacco on Sunday Night Football this week.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Watch out. Watch out. Slinging Joe.
And finally, Detroit Lions are a championship caliber team.
You can talk about the Packers?
Oh shit! I'm sorry. Well, I kind of gave that away there. My bad.
All right.
Green Bay 6-2. For me, I've said this. I'm not scared of Green Bay. Green Bay is more in the hunt than Minnesota for me. I think long term,
I actually think the opposite. Go ahead.
Green Bay will win more games. I know the Jordan Love injury thing kind of throws a wrench into it. Doesn't matter. We saw Malik Willis win games this year. I think Green Bay's good enough to sustain even without him. I don't think they beat Detroit this week. Either way, I think Green Bay's in the hunt. I think Green Bay is a playoff team. I don't think they're a championship team, but I think that they are a playoff team, and I think they will do
Can I go first? Because you're going to spoil what I'm going to say. I think the Packers are a championship team.
Okay.
I think the Packers are a championship team. Were you going to put them there?
I'm not there yet.
Oh, you're not?
Go ahead.
I just think they had – so their defense is good. It's better than good. They have depth at certain pieces. They've had wide receiver injuries. It's still worked out. They run the ball really well, which I think is effective. Do I think they're the lowest? My championship tier, it's going to spoiler, it's going to include the Lions. It's Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, Packers, Lions. I think the Packers are the worst of the 5 teams. But yeah, like I envision a scenario where the Packers could win the NFC. They need a lot to go right. They need the Lions to collapse to do it. They need some injuries to do it. But they have the juice to win a Super Bowl, in my opinion. So I have the Packers as a championship caliber team.
I got them in the hunt.
Wow. I thought you'd have them championship.
There's a reason why I'm going to say it.
Tell me.
The only championship team coming out of here is Detroit.
Thank you.
But I believe that the Packers or the Vikings.
Well, you put
one
the
of
Commanders
those
in championship.
Hold on. Let me finish. One of those two are going to be right there. They're going to be them 2 wild card spots. That's why I think 3 teams out of this division get in.
For me, there's one team out of the NFC that's playing championship caliber football. That's the Detroit Lions. That's it. They're the only team in the NFC that is playing
Here's what's
championship
scary.
caliber football.
You're saying that right now, but I watched fucking Green Bay win a game without their fucking quarterback. Just
Against Jacksonville.
The defense is still. I mean, you could say against whoever, dude.
No, but
Listen, anybody can beat anybody any given week in this.
yes, great.
Give
I
You
hear that.
You watch the
That's
Tampa Bay
fine.
Buccaneers beat the Detroit Lions, and look where they're at.
Championship caliber teams, when they play opponents that they are light years ahead of, they stomp the piss out of them.
Okay.
And they get caught every once in a while, just like Baltimore did yesterday. But they stomp the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
Detroit now, we're on it's a stomping spree.
Dude, 30-30 came in and made them look horrible in that secondary.
It happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens. And it's going to
I'm not
happen
saying
to
it
the Lions.
don't happen. It's already happened to the Lions.
That was
Lions
Tampa.
lost to the fucking Bucks. They should
It
have
was
never lost
Tampa.
that game. It wasn't what the Bucks did. It's what the Lions didn't do.
That
That's
will
what killed.
happen. I don't think they're going undefeated the rest of the way. But there's no team in the NFC that in a high energy playoff scenario beats the Detroit Lions. And
I don't think that's true.
and I'll be honest with you again, because I said it last week, I ain't scared of the Chiefs, not at all. You want to give the Ravens and the Bills a thought. I'm not all that scared of the Ravens, and the Bills are really hot right now, and that could cool off.
Dude, out of
fast.
that AFC, dude, I still think Pittsburgh's the scariest team out there, dude. Just because you don't know what to expect with them. That's fucking scary, dude. Their defense is championship caliber.
The
period.
Lions are.
Who are you taking? Just curious, who are you taking between Pittsburgh and the Packers? Who do you think's better? Who do you think has a bigger shot at the
I
championship?
think Pittsburgh has a little more experience than the Packers do. And I trust Russell Wilson more than fucking Jordan Love. Jordan Love is not a bad quarterback, but Jordan Love can't stay healthy. This guy gets hurt every game. He can't stay on the field. And sooner or later, that's going to come back to kill them.
I say that. the Lions have to fuck up to lose. They have to give the other team the game.
That could happen.
And
This
that
is
could
a
happen.
divisional game, dude.
That
you
could happen
guys,
once.
I know you guys laugh and shit and think it's a big fucking joke when I say
I don't.
it's a divisional game. You seen what happened with the fucking
Yes,
Ravens.
Absolutely.
I took the fucking Browns. Something told me Cleveland was going to win that game.
More likely than not, the Lions will lose a divisional game. They will split with Green Bay, or they will fuck up one
be
against
this week.
Chicago. It could be this week. But the only way the Lions lose, they is if they shoot themselves in the foot.
Even if they have
That's it.
Lions lose, it's going to be because they can't put 35 points.
even if they have 3 more losses in them, by the way,
matter.
I still think they're the number one. They're gonna like
They're
4
They're
losses.
the best
gets
team
them-
in the NFC. Period.
Can I give you some stats on the Lions really quick?
Yes.
I know you guys hate stats, but do you follow DVOA at all? Like the defensive adjusted.
Yes.
I can't remember what it means. Anyways, it measures a team's success rate compared to down and distance, like how they and it's in all 3 phases of the game. Like there's DVOA for offense, DVOA for defense, DVOA for special teams, and then it computes into an overall DVOA number. It was invented by Aaron Scatz, who's now he works for ESPN. The stat's about 20 years old. Going back over the last 20 years, there have been 8, I think since 2007, there's been 8 teams all time that have been in the top 5 of all 3 categories of DVOA, offense, defense, and special teams. 6 of the 8 have won the Super Bowl. The Lions are they're the 9th team. The 2 that didn't win were the 2022 Buffalo Bills, who I think lost in the championship game in Kansas
That was the
City.
overtime championship game.
Yeah, the one where they just lost a coin toss, and then the 07 Patriots, who were undefeated and lost in the Super Bowl. The Lions are top 5 in offensive DVOA, top 5 in defensive DVOA, top 5 in special teams DVOA. Like what they're doing is they're clicking on all cylinders right now. And
Too bad they ain't doing that toward the end of this fucking year. That's when I want them to do that.
well, that end of the
now.
year hasn't had it. It hasn't
I
happened yet.
want it the end of the year.
And it might not happen. They might not have to. They can ride this out. Like I love to talk about the season in segments. This is the end of the second segment this week. They could go 4-0 in this segment. They could win 4 games, which 3 of the 4 were on paper before the season were tough in Dallas, Minnesota, and Green Bay. And then if you want, you could even move the segment a little bit and throw in Houston. If they beat Houston, like if they sweep through you're going to be feeling pretty good about where they stand going into December, because at that point, November ends with Jacksonville at home, the Colts, and then the Bears at home.
It's
So
a thing of beauty.
it's
Don't sleep on that Colts game.
no, don't sleep
what-
on the Bears game either. Don't sleep on the Bears game either.
Joe Flacco's old ass will be in for his pacemaker by then. I'm
The
not
gist
worried
is
about it.
the gist is
With the passing numbers when Joe Flacco comes out in that game, I'll let you know.
the Lions are their own, like I think the only ones that could stop them are themselves right now. I'll be honest. Had we talked about the game, I know you would have bashed them, Uncle Sam, and you would have been right. Their defense was not great the other day. They need someone to set the edge.
Listen,
Decker.
Jared Goff was getting his ass kicked.
It's Decker. It was Decker and Decker and Glasgow, and they corrected it later in the game. I thought the offensive line improved a
they
lot
were
later in the
shaky
game.
in the beginning, though. He took some
Agreed.
hits.
He took 3 sacks off the rip. That being said, they need a guy like this weekend alone, even if it's Malik Willis. If you don't have a guy to set the edge in your run defense, they're just going to run jet sweeps to the right every time, or they're going to run.
Reed.
Yeah, Jaden Reed. What's his face?
He does.
Josh Jacobs, even Willis. Like they're just going to run to the offside and make you chase them down and tire your defense out. So if they don't have someone to set the edge, it's going to cause problems down the stretch. I trust the staff. I trust there's going to be someone. I trust they're going to trade for someone. But yeah, I mean,
I
it's
don't know, dude. I think that's not
no, they're going to trade for someone. They have to.
Dan Campbell showed his hand a little bit yesterday.
No, but then he corrected it this
not
morning.
Trey Hendrickson.
They're going to trade for someone. There's someone that's going to come in here at some point.
Jared Goff threw for 85 yards and they put up 52 points.
Yeah, but a lot of that's because of special teams
Isn't that
blunders.
fucking
But also, like, yeah, you can't knock the efficiency.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson's so in his bag right now. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anything out of an offensive coordinator like this before. He's so in his bag that Bruce, back me up. The crowd wasn't even phased when David Montgomery threw a touchdown pass.
It's fucking
No one was floored or shocked by that. It was like, oh, it was good, nice play.
yeah, great.
was sitting down the whole game.
Hey,
It was fucking bullshit.
he had 3 incompletions and 3 touchdowns again. They're at a different level right now than everybody else.
Yeah,
Cleve Raymond.
Dude,
Cleve Raymond.
special team.
Great
Cleve
game.
Raymond.
That's really weird.
Great game.
That's where that.
He had a good game the last game.
So, let's just wrap this up. In the championship tier, I have 4 teams. It's the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills, and Detroit. Zolo has the Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, Detroit, and the Packers. Uncle Sam has the Chiefs, the Texans, the Steelers, the Bills, the Commanders, and the Lions. And then as far as dead teams go, Uncle Sam has the Raiders, the Titans, the Browns, the Patriots, the Dolphins, the Panthers, the Saints, the Giants, the Cowboys. I have the Raiders, the Titans, the Browns, the Bengals, the Jets, the Patriots, the Dolphins, the Panthers, the Saints, the Giants. Zolo has the Raiders, the Titans, the Jags, the Browns, the Jets, the Patriots, the Dolphins, the Panthers, the Saints, and the Giants. And everybody else is somewhere in the middle. Your not out of it is quite a bit bigger than everybody else's.
yeah. I mean, I
Because
can
you're in the
envision
hunt is
teams.
smaller.
I think teams are going to emerge from, like, not out of it means I think that team can make the playoffs. Now, I don't see any Super Bowl winners in my not out of it. I don't see Broncos, Chargers, Colts, Bengals, Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals, Bucks,
Agreed.
Falcons, Cowboys, Bears. I don't think any of those teams can win the Super
I
Bowl.
don't think any of any of our not out of it teams.
And that being said, I think there's a reasonable chance, like, we'll call it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 3 or 4 of those teams are going to make the playoffs on my list.
And you're not out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're probably right. Whereas I think me and you have all of the playoff teams between championship and in the hunt.
It's so early, you really can't tell yet. You'll know after this next segment of games. You'll have a really good understanding of how it could go down.
Listen, you coming through the next 4 games, you could have teams that clinch.
That's what I'm saying. Through this next segment of games, these next 4 games,
You could have teams that are
will
in the
tell you-
playoffs.
tell you where these teams are going to be at.
Like the AFC East could be won in the next 4 games.
Yeah,
Just saying.
yeah. If Buffalo rips off 4 wins in a row,
Yeah.
which they damn well could, they'll clinch.
Yeah.
They'll clinch it right there.
Well, I mean, just
What do they got? 7
for
wins?
shits and giggles.
They're 7 wins.
No, they're 6-2.
6-2.
But their next ones is Miami, Indy, Kansas City. Then they hit the bye and then go to San Francisco.
There you
So
go.
it's not a cakewalk.
If they could win 4 out of their next 5, that puts them at fucking 11 wins, 12 wins.
Wait, which team is that?
10.
Oh, 10
10
wins right
10 and
there.
Who are you talking about?
Buffalo, 10
Buffalo.
and 3. But they got to play Kansas City and Frisco.
Right.
I think they beat both of those teams. You're talking about the Bills? The Bills beat both of those teams right now.
I tend to agree with you.
They beat them both.
The road to the Super Bowl goes through Arrowhead.
Goes through Arrowhead, bud.
Go Raiders. Anyways, that was a fantastic show. I enjoyed that thoroughly. Uncle Sam, you got anything else to add?
No.
Zola, what about you?
No?
We got anything in the chats that we need to address real quick?
Yeah, we think we...
Bruce, who do you think's going to win the Super Bowl? Pick it.
Lions,
Who do they beat?
Ravens.
Wow. You heard it first, Bruce. Get your futures in.
We'll call that the Carl G. Bowl.
The Carl Bowl.
Yeah, mine's Lions,
What the people
Bills.
wanted
The
last
third
year, it's
bowl.
what the NFL is going
Lions,
to do.
Bills. What's yours? Lions what?
Lions, Chiefs.
You're the same probably over there, right?
And I think it'll be.
Watch it be something stupid like Lions, Cincinnati.
Originally at the beginning of the year.
Green Bay and Cincinnati.
Originally at the beginning of the year, if you recall, my Super Bowl pick
Green Bay and
was
Cincinnati.
Lions, Dolphins. So one of them we can forget about. Luckily, we don't have to forget about.
Mine were the Lions and the Jets.
I was on that
Fucking
too
hell.
for a little bit.
I thought that's what would happen.
Bruce, do you have anything to add?
Nope.
So we're all good.
Set over here.
We're all good. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. Make sure to follow our socials, Instagram and Twitter at Tip Balls, TikTok at Tip Balls Podcast. If you are listening to us on Spotify or Apple Music, which, Bruce, you haven't uploaded an episode since October 22nd, so you need to get on that. You can watch us on YouTube. Remember to click subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified when we go live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Usually, sorry, it's Tuesday, but, we'll be back tomorrow on Friday around 5. And you can also watch us on TikTok where we go live too, and you can join us in the chat tomorrow for Fantasy Frenzy where you can ask us every single last question you have.
We're doing the games, I thought.
Huh?
Tomorrow we're doing the weekend.
Yeah, we don't know yet. We might change
Friday
some
we're
stuff up.
doing fucking
Fantasy Frenzy might move to Friday. Our picks might move to Wednesday. God knows what's going to happen. Dark Lumen in the chat said that he's done with the 49ers, which means we should be done with this show.
He's off the bandwagon.
He's off the bandwagon.
Sorry to hear that.
We'll see you tomorrow.